Hola, my truth-seeking niece. Good morning. You can see me. I'll let you look at the road this morning instead of my ugly face. But, the big question, like when I first talked to you, was, is it real? Is this shit real? Well, I'm afraid so. And, some simple ways to verify that. There's some big agencies that talk about it, and there's some very wealthy, powerful people that have talked about it. The simplest ways to verify it is the WEF and the UN. The WEF, the World Economic Forum, is just like the title sounds. It's a collection of the folks that manage the world's wealth. They all get together and talk about the future, and, they want to anticipate markets and needs and blah, 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 but it's actually a manipulative. Anyway, I'll do a separate one on the WEF. But you can go to their webpage, and it's headed by a guy named Klaus Schwab, and he actually wrote a book called The Great Reset, and he talks about the need for a whole new socio-economic system. And it's all about control. There's a lot of independence, people just kind of doing their own thing, running amok. You can't control people. We need it all unified. We need one money system, one set of laws, one religious belief system, and the new religion is, well, let me not get into that. The WEF and the UN. So the UN, the United Nations, was formed after World War II. They made an attempt after World War I called the League of Nations, and that didn't take. So after World War II, they tried it again. And again, it's the idea of unification. In this case, not just to set up a new structure, but to set some ground rules. If the whole world's going to be fighting each other, we need somebody to kind of play referee, set up a few rules, monitor what's going on. And but it's a global governance council. And as far as their actual authority, technically, I'm not sure what their authority is, but they have huge influence. During the pandemic, we had the WHO, the World Health Organization, that sort of dictated the guidelines down to the CDC and all that. And that really dictated. They just make recommendations, but their recommendations are always adhered to. The World Health Organization has a lot of sway. And so anyway, the UN is, go to their webpage, and they have an agenda drafted out, and they call it Agenda 21, and it's their plans for the future of the world, and it's broke down into some more refined goals of 2130 and 2150, and they're agendas, and that's what they call them, Agenda 21, Agenda 2150, and it outlines the goals by that time. And now the goals, you've heard of smart cities. They want little condensed cities where everything is close enough that you don't really need transportation. You could walk to work and home and all that, so keep it easier to control people when they're in a little cage. We want to keep them in small areas. So my mind goes all over the place. I want to explain all the little details, but I'm trying to keep focused on the big picture here. So the agenda is based on the idea of sustainability. And it all sounds great when you go and read it. You're like, heck yeah, man, we want to preserve our resources and all this stuff. It's the driving force that they're using for all the change that's being implemented, and the reason for this agenda, 2030, 2050. I'm sorry, I said Agenda 2130 earlier, but it's Agenda 21 or Agenda 2030 and 2050. But anyway, they're based on sustainability and driven by the notion of climate change. Now, climate change is a whole nother complicated issue. You get into the science of it, and just the fact that they don't want to have a discussion about it is a red flag for me. There's no such thing as settled science. Science is a process. If you don't want to continue the discussion, you're doing something nefarious. You're hiding something, or you're not practicing real science. But anyway, regardless of the truth of climate change, it's being used to push an agenda. And the climate is changing. I'll do a video on that. But anyway, they're using that, as they do many things. There's a notion of a thing called the Hegelian dialect, right? The problem, reaction, solution. Create a problem to elicit a reaction, which is usually fear, and then offer up a solution to settle people's fears. And so the problem in this case is that, look at this, all these green lights right here. This is a huge pot farm. Acres and acres of marijuana growing. They get all these green lights, they got barbed wire and lots of cameras and all that, but how crazy, just this open field of acres of weed. Anyway, so the agenda is based on climate change, and so all these restructuring of the world is to save the world. We got to stop burning fossil fuels because it's destroying the atmosphere and creating more greenhouse effect and raising the Earth's temperature. And so us humans are fucking everything up. This anthropomorphic driven climate change, we've screwed ourselves. So they need to make all these changes. But anyway, if you could look up the changes and you could look up what their plans are, and they say they're going to eliminate poverty. How do you eliminate poverty? So is that part of a population reduction thing, or is that a redistribution of wealth? Is it a socialism agenda? I can get into all the details of what I think about all that, but the bottom line is they're making incredible claims. They want to make major changes in the world. So go to the UN webpage and read these agendas, read the outlines. And some of it sounds great. There's some good things that they're doing to preserve the world, but when you really start digging into it and understanding it, the methods for preserving the world means a loss of freedoms and for the general populace and control of us. And so digital currencies is one method of control to get everybody to comply. If you do something that is against what the elites want you to do, then they just restrict your money. Won't let you spend it on this or that, or freeze your account or shut you off, whatever. So digital currencies, and the same thing with electric vehicles, kind of give them control also, which, by the way, we will not all have electric vehicles. There will be autonomous electric vehicles for public transportation, which is totally controllable. It can be programmed, it can be turned on and off, it can hold you in that car once you're identified, if you're wanted by the police, or if you need to be questioned for whatever. Anyway, it's a total control system. And if you believe in the legitimacy of the people that are running the world and that their intentions are for the good of humanity, then it's all very acceptable, and it's going to be presented in a way that makes perfect sense. Like eating fake meat. It's more friendly, right? Where it's more humane. We're not going to be killing cows, and also, of course, those cows keep farting and creating more greenhouse gases with the methane produced, and so it's in your best interest to stop eating meat. So here's this bug burger or this artificial lab-grown chicken or whatever it is. They're fucking with the food, but anyway, we're already at 9 minutes. But is it real? Yeah. Klaus Schwab wrote a book called The Great Reset, and this is all the people who hold all the power. The people who control the money all meet with this Klaus Schwab guy. So the WEF and the UN are two places to go, and you go to their web pages and read about what they're talking about, and you will see this is all a very real thing. These are very powerful entities telling you what the future they have in mind and in store for us is. Check that out. Keep it under 10 minutes here. Love you guys. Bye-bye.